Raising the Arch of Palmyra in New York City identifies with this ancient religious culture and satanic practice. The ancient structure was raised in America's Center for Abortion in New York City, where child sacrifice has been legalized for the purpose of sacrificing to Baal and for global depopulation agenda in line with the Goergia Guide Stones. So I want to show you something now that may shock you. Have you heard of the Goergia Guide Stones before? Okay. These guide stones are stones that a certain person raised. And on these stones, he wrote what should happen on planet Earth. And planet Earth has been living by what he wrote. So I want to show you some of the writings that are on this guide stone that may shock you to your bones, so that you will know why certain things are happening around. Okay. If you can see very well, if you can read it, please read. The first instruction there says, maintain humanity under 500 million. Are you seeing it? Are you able to read it? Okay. If you are not able to read it, I'll read it out for you. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Guide reproduction wisely. Improving fitness and diversity. Unite humanity with a living new language. Goergia Guide Stones. I'll explain. Rule, passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. I'll tell you what that means. Protect people and nations with fair laws, not the laws of scripture, fair laws. And just court. This thing sounds nice until you know what it means. Resolving external disputes in a world court. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Balance personal rights with social duties. Let me show you the writings. Okay. So I will show you the author of these Goergia Guide Stones. Then I'll read out the writings, what they said. They said they should maintain humanity under 500 million. So does that explain why sometimes they create a pandemic and send it to us to reduce population? And they will say it came from an animal. Does that explain why there are wars and they kill people? Does that explain why Bill Gates is coming to Africa to reduce people in the name of giving us aid? He was here last month. They came to discuss with Dangote again, and that's the next plan. And that's what I want to tell you now. Another pandemic is coming. It will be worse than the first. It's part of what Bill Gates came to discuss with Dangote. And that pandemic this time is going to be a bacterial infection. It's not going to be a virus. It's easy to deal with a virus. It's not easy to deal with a bacteria. It's going to be worse than the first one. The reason is because the first one that you call COVID-19 was targeted at Africa to reduce Africa. But they were disappointed because Africans didn't die. We had only about 8,000 people that died in Africa. Just a little above 8,000. But in the world, people died a lot. And they wanted to reduce Africa. That's the plan. Because I will show you where the origin of this starts from. Go and study something called eugenics. In eugenics, they say if you see character traits among a species that you don't like, you can eliminate the species to remove the character traits. So that's why blacks are considered to have inferior character traits. So you remove them from the planet. Eugenics started in Egypt when a pharaoh arose and said, these people are mightier than us. Let us reduce them. Let's kill them. They do it in medicine. It's called eugenics. You can go and check it out. So how do you reduce humanity? Bill Gates comes and is giving us some things that they call GMOs. Genetically modified organisms. Right? So they are bringing it to farmers. They say this corn is special breed. They created it from the lab and they put something in it to reduce people's life. But they say it's special breed. They bring it and they start sensitizing farmers. Agri people, you have done programs around these things and you felt it was a superior species. You didn't know. They bring it with corn and many other things and fruit. Your agri species come out and they look more plumpy. They are better than our local one that God gave us. But they are genetically modified, created in the lab to reduce the population of Africans. And then men eat it and die. So that men are the ones carrying the gene. That's why there are more women. People eat it and they are reduced, their fertility reduced. Then when they see that for some reason the power of God is still keeping us not working, then they will create one pandemic and bring it. I didn't put other videos because it would be too long. I would have shown you where Bill Gates said it from his own mouth that they want to reduce the world and they are starting from Africa. So he came to visit Dangote last time. You see, Babylon is a very terrible system. Do you think that what is happening now, that the hardship is high, is because Nigeria cannot rule? No, it's a plan. Have you noticed that they are fetching the professionals out of this country? How else will you do it than to make the country to be hard? They are fetching the professionals, especially health workers. So by the time the next pandemic strike, we will not have health workers enough to work, to save people. And they have signed something called a zero draft law. Under the zero draft law, go and check it. World Health Organization have signed the zero draft law. The zero draft law says if a pandemic strikes, World Health Organization have the right to enter your country without your permission and do whatever they want. Without your permission. So last time when the pandemic struck, they wanted to enter Africa and many African presidents say, we no agree. In fact, some of you must have seen how Madagascar president fought them and said no. They come in, World Health Organization, they want to come and save. You don't know they are coming to destroy. So when they saw how Africa withstood them the last time, they now passed that zero draft law. I think it was this year. Preparing for the next pandemic. You will see these things I'm saying. But tomorrow I'll tell you what the righteous should do. So with the zero draft law, World Health Organization can come and destroy and kill as many people as they want. Because COVID didn't kill us. It was like malaria, we quickly found out. Maybe tomorrow if I have the time, I'll show you from the mouth of doctors, videos, doctors. So who was the author of these Goergia Guide Stones? All the things I read. They said they should reduce humanity to a population of 500 million. They feel we are too much. Bill Gates said it. Maybe I'll show you the video tomorrow. He said we are too much on the planet. They want to reduce. So that's why they said they should limit marriage. We read it. So that's why they are bringing gay marriage issues. So if a man marry man, they can't give birth to a child now. Abi? Okay. Who is the author of this Goergia Guide Stone? Can you see what is written there? The author is an R.C. Christian. R.C. Christian. A pseudonym. What is R.C. Christian? Who can guess? R.C. Roman Catholic Christian. He was the author. And that Roman Catholic Christian disguise. Pseudonym. What is the meaning of pseudonym? A fictitious name used especially by an author to conceal their identity. So, if somebody writes something and he don't want his identity to be known, he will write pseudonym. So, any writer or reader who reads it knows that this person don't want his identity to be known. But he already wrote it here. That is a R.C. Christian. A Roman Catholic Christian. The person who wrote that Goergia Guide Stone. Who do you think it is? Who do you think it is? The Antichrist. It was sponsored by a small group of Americans who seek the age of reason. Oh, we haven't got time. I would have told you what reason means here. In the age of reason, you don't bring God. You don't bring God. Everybody is allowed to live by his thinking. That's New Age. That's Mithraism. So they are seeking the age of reason. An age where God is edged out of the picture. But it so happens that we have too many men of God in Africa. Africa is bombarding the world. Are you seeing why God now ran back to Africa and said, please come, let me use you and send you? Are you seeing why? So that's why they are targeting Africa. They have men of God who are still stopping us from bringing the age of reason. So this one was from one dictionary, this definition. This is another definition from another dictionary. A pseudonym, a name of someone used instead of their real name, especially on a written work. So the pseudonym there is the R.C. Christian, the Roman Catholic Christian. Is the one that wrote Guide Stones. Let's see further. In 1980, The stones were finished. They carried a tablet in front proclaiming, "Let this be guide stones to an age of reason." Engraved in the stones are 10 guidelines meant to reestablish the planet and society. Did you know that the Pope came out in 2020 and said, "We want to re-educate the world. We want to change education"? After he said it, they started bringing this thing inside textbooks. I told you in elementary school now, you see textbook, dad and dad, mom and mom. I'm taking a walk with mom and mom. I'm having nice time with dad and dad. He came and said, he went to Sinai this year? He went to Sinai with some leaders and said, they don't like the 10 commandments that Moses received. They wanted to go and collect a new 10 commandments that they will use to come and save the planet. Go and read it up. I'm not talking nonsense. He went to Mount Sinai where Moses collected the 10 commandments and said they are bringing new 10 commandments, but this 10 commandments is for saving the planet. Do you now see why the planet is suffering many things? What was one of the signs Jesus gave us? You will see wars. You will see floodings. What you call natural disaster. How can God create a world for human beings and now put natural disaster there? Is it natural? Do you know that flood can be induced? I don't want to touch some things. They are too sensitive. They are too sensitive. When we see these things, we just say they are natural. And without knowledge, all we do is say, "Oh God, help us, oh God." I'll show you what Jesus said. Come tomorrow, you will see what the righteous should do. Okay. They are written in 8 different languages. English, Spanish, Swahili. So the guide stones are written in 8 different languages. Hindi, Hebrew, Aramaic, Chinese, and Russia. And among other commandments, preach too. So this is what the guide stone says. First, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. The Pope is always talking about nature, talking about saving the planet. Rule passion with faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Balance personal rights with social duties. This thing sounds sweet until I tell you the meaning. We haven't got time. Be not a cancer on earth. Leave room for nature. You know why they are saying this, leave room for nature? They will collect everybody's land that they want to leave room for nature. They will collect everybody's land. It will happen. Collect everybody's land. It will now, he will become the ruler, and they will say they want to leave room for nature. So you find out life will become stringent, pushing you towards receiving the mark of the beast. They will globalize the currency. You will no longer have your country's currency. That's why you are seeing an influx of all these cryptos. That's what crypto is all about. That's the system that will help them globalize the currency. So they will globalize the currency. You will start using one currency that is channeled to him. To leave room for nature, they will collect your land, collect your properties. One of the things he said he wants to do is redistribution of wealth, according to that 2020 meeting that he called. What is redistribution of wealth? It means to take from someone who has and give it to somebody who does not have. Another word for it is stealing. It sounds good until you know what it means. Redistribution of wealth means they don't like that there are too many poor people in the world. They want to balance nature, like you said here. They want to balance the world. Now, if you want to deal with poverty, there are 2 ways to deal with poverty. It's either you make the poor rich, or the second way, what do you think? Eliminate the poor. Which one do you think will happen? Okay, so you now understand why I've kept you here till this long. I apologize, but please learn it now. So the guide stones also serve as an astronomical calendar, and every day at noon the sun shone through a narrow slit, blah blah blah. It's written in Babylonian cuneiform. I told you about Babylonian cuneiform, the writings of Nebuchadnezzar. It's also written in classical Greek. It's also written in Sanskrit and Egyptian hieroglyphics. I told you of Egyptian hieroglyphics. Okay, let me try something. Let me just run through so we close. Okay, so this is the Luxor temple that I told you about, where that obelisk was first raised.